everyone. This is Murali. Welcome to the first episode of our podcast. We're going to interview Jash Gandhi of Lively. Let's dive in. Hope you like it. Today's guest, we've got Jash Gandhi, who's the co-founder at Lively, a very fast-growing online video marketing platform. They've scaled up very well in the last maybe a year or so. I think we've heard a lot of noise about them in the market. So very, very happy to have him as a guest today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me here. Couldn't be happier.
Hey, so it's a promise to be a great chat.
Awesome.
So Jash, tell me about this journey to the start of Lively. Like what happened? What was that problem statement that you were trying to solve in the market? How did you recognize it? And then how did you decide to jump into that?
Got it. So I think, before talking about Lively, and so I think it all goes back to my journey as a professional, right? So I think I've spent a good amount of time working in the overall digital ecosystem in this amazing sort of journey of India, right? It all sort of started when I worked with companies like Zomato, again, very fast growing online ordering startup. I think that was a time when we used to do hardly some 6,000 orders a day across the entire Mumbai region.
Oh,
Right. So working since early stages there. Then I worked for Nest.
sorry, this is which year?
This was around 2016.
Correct.
Right. Then I worked with Nestle for a while. But then the real sort of exposure that I got into the overall digital landscape was when I started working with Flipkart. Right. So and my love for e-commerce also kind of ingrained during my journey with Flipkart. Right. So with Flipkart, I was there for about 3 years. The great thing that Flipkart empowers the new age youth is giving those sort of exposure, ownership, responsibilities, right? So I was like not even 30 years old then, and I was already managing a 700 crore category, kids clothing category as a whole, right? So working there, you get to understand, about things at a larger picture. You see a larger picture, right? You also get to understand, and you get that confidence that you can also build something by yourself, right? So that's how, I was quite sure after working with Flipkart, and also worked with Shopee, where I was a part of the core team when we launched Shopee in India. Right? So that's when I sort of was sure that I wanted to build something on the e-commerce ecosystem as a whole, right? Because anyway, I was very, very bullish around the overall ecosystem, right? So that's how I think that was the base of what I wanted to do. The only thing was that, I had decided that I would, the day I would quit Shopee, I would quit a job because I really wanted to build something by myself. And I would not work anywhere, is what I had decided. But I had envisioned that to come maybe 2-3 years, after working into Shopee, right? And like, again, Shopee journey was also great, right? We scaled to about 1 million orders within 5 months of launch. But the thing that happened was that, Shopee had to shut down abruptly due to various reasons as a whole, right? So that's when I had to decide what I had to do, because I had already decided that I would sort of not take up a job, right? So after Shopee, what Shopee also did was they gave me they gave me an offer to come down to their Philippines office and run the entire ecosystem there, right? But then again, me going there would mean spending 3-4 years more, right? So then I decided that, I took that hard call of not taking up any sort of job, not going to Shopee Philippines, and I thought of taking some time out to figure out what I wanted to do, because I really wanted to build something. If not, then I don't know when, right? So that was the basic idea. So that's when I think things started moving. I started, deep diving into the trends, understanding e-commerce further around different functions, right? And as a whole, I think for me, one of the biggest moments of my entrepreneur journey was to find the right co-founder as a whole, right? So when you have the right co-founder who matches your ambitions, who understands things, like you have complementing skill sets, right? So while I've been on the business side of things, and I can enable tech, but I can't build them, right? So that is something where I really need a lot of help with. So that's where my co-founder kind of comes in. He manages the entire product tech side of things, right? So when you have those sort of skill sets that are complementing, your natures are complementing, and you have similar sort of ambitions, that kind of is a great start to building something. Right. So that's when we decided to start working together, and we knew it had to be e-commerce, right? So that's when, and also working with Flipkart, you understand that they are a very tech forward company as a whole, right? So you see that they're already building the next gen tech, whereas while D2C was really taking off in India, the tech wasn't as much taking off, right? So what it meant was that Flipkart and Amazons of the world would always stay like miles ahead on the tech sort of front as compared to the D2C ecosystem. So that's when we decided to, enable the D2C ecosystem further with the next gen sort of technologies. Right. And I think as a whole, video was something which is very interesting. Right. It had like the entire Reels ecosystem had taken the entire industry by storm. A lot of things were moving on the social media front, but the same sort of disruptions were not happening in the e-commerce front. Right. So that's when we decided to build on this front, and then Lively came into the existence. And yeah, I mean today, we enable a lot of D2C brands with next gen video commerce solutions, and I think it's been a great journey.
Yeah, it certainly has. I mean, just that narration itself was I mean, literally a decade worth of experience coming in. So this is not your first entrepreneurial
It's not, yeah.
journey, right? So this is your second company that, and they say that the best entrepreneurs are the ones who failed once before,
Yeah.
right? So now, and you mentioned something about you're looking for the best complementary co-founder, right? So tell me, like, what kind of key things that you were looking for, which were learnings from their first one?
Yeah. So I think my first startup was something which is built out of impulse, so to say, right? So COVID had hit, in 2021, 2022, right? COVID had hit us. Things were not moving. Orders were all still. There was nothing happening, right? And I'm someone who really needs to do something. Right? I spent about 20 days doing nothing because there was nothing that was happening. Right? And I couldn't take it up. Right? So, I had to do something. And I was at that point of time, I was staying at my hometown. And
Which is where?
it's in Palghar, which is outskirts of Mumbai. Right? So, being in Bangalore, Bombay, yeah, I was like very used to using technology. You order stuff around, right? You don't go out anymore to buy stuff. You blink it, Zepto it, whatever, right? So, I mean, being in Palghar there, I realized that I did not have those sort of, I couldn't order anything around. I had to go out to get anything and everything, right? Technically, a lot of things that we get an exposure here, they were not there for people around there. And that's when I decided to build something for people there. And I did not quit my job. I didn't do anything. It was more of a side hustle. But I mean, I had a friend who was there. We just decided to build like a grocery startup there, right? So similar, following like a big basket model for smaller towns. That was the basic idea, right? And in a month, we built our mobile app. We already had vendors sort of finalized within again a week or so. We made the entire listings live. Within a month, we were all launch ready, right? And we already had some content marketing ideas in place. So the day we launched, we got our first 2,500 odd downloads for a small town, right? Because people there really want newer sort of things, right? They don't have that accessibility, and they want those things there, and nobody's building for them, right? So we got a great response there, and we were delivering almost 40-50 orders on a daily basis in a small town like Palghar, and there are like 4,000-5,000 towns that as a whole, right? So that was the basic idea. It was very simple. It was working, right? I mean, we were not burning a lot of money. We were almost breaking even at that point of time, right? But the only thing was, again, when you get into running a startup, you then understand a lot of complexities around it. It doesn't sound as simple as what I've already said, right? So then there were a lot of things that were happening with respect to having similar sort of ambitions in place. I had a co-founder who wasn't really thinking about things the way I was, right? The co-founder was happy being, like doing it for a single town, maybe a couple of towns, right? Not really thinking of it as a $1 billion
Yeah.
sort of a revenue startup as a whole, right? And I was someone who really wanted to build something that had a larger impact, right? So all of those sort of things also, and the problem that for us was we were three friends who built something together, right? And building something with like your best friends is a very complicated thing because again, it's difficult to kind of shout at them, tell them, and for them also it was difficult to sort of shout at me and telling me that I was doing something wrong, right? So those sort of complexities were there, and this was like a side hustle. So things started picking up. A lot of learnings that we got in terms of how to build a startup, but then we sort of called it off to figure out, we would take more time and figure something out that we would build for a larger sort of scale, right? So initially I had thought I would take 3 months. 3 months में अगर पता चल गया कि यार वर्क कर रहा है तो जॉब छोड़ देंगे और फिर बनाएंगे. But a big realization was कि 3 months are not enough, right? You need to look at it from a good 1.5, 2 years perspective to actually, you need to give that sort of a time before you can really sort of say that this is something that you really want to do. Yeah, giving your best shot. So a lot of learnings there.
Got it. And then, so just a little bit more about Lively, right? So what exact problem are you solving with Lively? What you solved right now or till now, and what are you looking to solve in the next in the next few? Product wise, what's coming up?
Sure. So as a whole, information channels have been evolving, right? So I had a mentor used to tell me that information channels have evolved from a simple text-based communication to then you had like people sending across images to each other, right? Then came in your YouTube long format videos. People got bored of that. Then came in your short format videos in the form of reels. Right now you also have lives where people are interacting with each other. Right? Like information channels or communication channels have evolved over a period of time. I think most of it is led by your social media platforms, right? Because those have the highest adoption, so to say, right? So while I do believe that each of these communication channels today do coexist, right? So you can't really say that one channel is better than the other. There are people who would want to read about the product before making a purchase. There are people that just want to see a particular picture around it, right? Somebody wants to see a video, right? So each of these communication channels generally is coexist is what I feel, right? So to kind of cater to a larger set of audience, you need to have each of these communication channels where you interact with your community, user base, whatever, right? So while these communication channels were really coming up, social media was driving it. There was not enough that was happening on the e-commerce side of things, right? E-commerce was still in a similar phase where you had your static website. People were using the static website for like good 4, 5, 6 years, and nothing was really happening there, right? So that's when we wanted to drive this entire video transformation sort of a journey where we could enable brands with more interactive solutions, different formats of videos, whether you are sort of communicating with your community customers live, shortening the decision making cycle and getting them purchase, right? Creating that sort of a frenzy where you're doing a product drop, right? So there's a lot of jazz that we've created around it. So a lot of people would sort of join in, want to know more about it, and then you do a drop, which is like limited time drop. A lot of people would then also do impulse purchases as a whole, right? So that's one way of going about it. If you're shopping for a fashion product, people on the normal websites would just watch an image, would read about it. But again, images can be sort of deceiving, right? So that's when people would want to see a video. So enabling those video journeys across the website, right? So typically what we realize is like videos is at this moment is what is closest to reality compared to the other information channels, right? And hence, I think that's where Lively comes from, right? So
nice name.
Thank you so much for that. But so yeah, I mean, we want brands and customers to be the closest to reality, right? And drive that sort of trust, and that's where I think Lively plays a key role there.
Got it. Kind of have an idea of like how I can see it everywhere, right? Like videos are becoming mainstream in e-commerce websites, and it's been becoming more prevalent on that, right? But the North Star seems to be what's happening in China, from a live video shopping experience, right? So I think I heard somewhere that US is only 5% of that is being influenced by video. China seems to be upward or very close to 50%. and India seems to be even further behind.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So how do you see India kind of leapfrogging video commerce being what everyone would be doing? Would they be selling on? I mean, that late night home shop network thing is now becoming this at scale. Everybody's trying to sell something. How do you see it?
Sure. I think China story, I think while China story, kind of kicked in the entire live commerce side of it, this entire experience has been there for a while, right? Like you had your home shop 18s and all of the other guys showing those product demonstrations, like, kind of thrashing your products out and showing that, like they're not breaking out. They used to give like 15 products under 1,000 rupees, right? So those sort of frenzy getting created around a live and getting people to just call the number and place the order, right? So those things were happening. Right? What commerce does is it makes it like a two-way communication to drive like a more social proofing side of it. And second is removing that resistance of being on hold or for a call and placing an order, right? Here you can directly just add it to the cart, shop from the live itself, right? So it's just simplifying the entire experience. So I think as a whole, I don't see a reason why India is not ready for live commerce as a whole, because this has been there, and like these guys used to do massive numbers at that point of time, right? The only thing that I feel is there are some more nuances to live commerce, right? What China has done is, so China have those key opinion leaders who have like people have huge amount of trust in them, right? So when a key opinion leader talks about a certain device that is better than all of the other devices, people buy that thing, and I mean people buy that trust that person is trying to instill into the customers, and they just follow that particular KOL and they will buy everything from them. Right. So the difference there is, like in this like Indian story, people had trying to drive that similar sort of a story through influencers instead of the KOLs. The problem is influencer ecosystem in India is still evolving, right? So as of now, there are very few influencers who you could say if they've said something, the community is all going to follow that, and they'll just buy something because the KOL has said something or influencer has said something, right? So as a whole, I think in the Indian story, when you're looking at influencer-driven live commerce, it is evolving to some extent. So it will take some time before it's there with respect to influencers being able to influence the decision making of customers at a larger, massive scale as a whole, right? But what brands can still do is there's another nuance of how live commerce can be used, right? So think of live commerce where, say, for example, you are, anybody's gone live at 4 o'clock on a Sunday evening, right? And you are selling t-shirts. Why would anybody join you at 4 o'clock in the evening to just purchase a t-shirt, right? When you can have t-shirts available across the entire week. And so live, typically, the way brands need to think about it is live as a channel is only relevant, A, if you have a very passionate user base, and second, if you have some bit of community aspect of it, right? So imagine if, so I was talking to a brand, they are into, like they have AI-based cooking robot sort of thing, right? So they have a very engaged community where people on a daily basis make something new and they post on the community saying, see, I've made something new using this particular product, right? They're all sharing their recipes. So I that's what I told them, right? This is the time when you can have those live cooking classes on a daily basis. You can just get people along and cook with, and get them to cook with you guys, right? You can try new set of recipes. Because if they have such an engaged community, there's a good chance that I will set that time, I will put it in my calendar and I'll join that live. Because I'm that passionate about that particular field, right? So I think those sort of things you need to realize that, where would live really work, right? So you need to have a community aspect of it where people are really passionate about your things, right? Similarly, when you talk about sneakerheads, right? People really care about the sneakers. They really want to know everything before they make a purchase, right? So that's why drops work really well, right? So if you're doing a drop, why not do a drop on the live and get the people to order there and there? Because people are that passionate, they would set that time in the calendar to join that live, right? So I think as a whole, and so there is one last thing I would like to share on the live pieces. If you get a chance, try visiting a Facebook group called All India Business Women's Association, right? IBA. They have 10 different groups because every group they have like limited number of members who can join, some 2, 3, 5,000. That gets filled and then they create like a new group. So now they have 10 different groups. All of these guys just have those housewives on the group, right? So each day, around 3 to 4 housewives will go live they are selling some stuff there, kurtis and different other things. There are other housewives who will, with their friends, attend those lives,
Wow.
just talk to each other, comment there, and shop from there. Right. So that's again a problem that we're solving for, where these
base
people
is
are
there.
setting that time up to attend that live because they want to enjoy the shopping experience. Right. So that TG also, I mean, they're able to cater. So each of their lives gets about good 50, 60, 100, 120 members joining in, good 10 orders getting placed on each of the lives, right? And these are smaller housewives being able to sell 10 orders within like 45 minutes of live, right? So, and these are small people. So
And
that
that's so this happens every day. There's like a different
every
household.
day they have 4 5 people coming in and doing those
Wow.
lives.
We'll definitely add this in the
Yeah.
footnotes here, but for sure. So, and then how do you see this? So there's this whole thing of AI influencers in the future,
Yeah.
right? People are talking about AI influencers becoming, their follow counts increasing. What do you see with that? Do you see you guys playing a role in that? Or, I mean,
Yeah.
enablement wise for sure, but what do you see from a trend perspective?
Sure. So as a whole, with Lively, we want to be like a one-stop solution for all video requirements. That's why we sort of aim us to be, right? So we realized that our brands have had requirements around helping them with video production, helping them with influencer marketing, helping them with distribution of those videos through our tech solutions, whether live or shoppable videos as a whole, right? So as a whole, we want to be like a one-stop solution. Now, AI also, of course, plays a key role in how this can work out, right? So not everybody can afford to have influencers going live, sharing videos each day for them, right? So and a lot of like brands these days are all founder-driven brands, right? You will see founders talking about their product. They instill that trust in their customers because they are that confident about their product, right? Which works great if a founder is very confident, knows how to do it, right? But a lot of people are not that confident, not that comfortable doing it themselves. And a lot of people also have like 1,000 other things that they need to do as a part of the journey. And hence, after a point of time, they will end up, they start with a couple of videos, they'll end up not doing it, right? So this is where AI comes into the picture, where you can create like a custom avatar of yourself, right? And then you can just, like your team can just put in that script,
Yep.
and that can also be AI generated, and it is basically similar to what you would talk to your audience, right? So those sort of videos really, I think, can create a great impact for people who want to build those founder-led brands, right? Build like different sort of use cases can be solved using AI. And we have one experience, we have one solution where you can just upload your catalog image, so 3 4 catalog images across front, back, side angles. It will create an AI video shoot. What that will do is it will have rotating videos where the same model is sort of moving around. It looks like very, very natural, right? So AI can actually help for solving for a lot of things, especially for a D2C ecosystem where people don't have that much of time, resources, everything.
Got it. So Josh, so I get this. I understand how Lively is being used. A lot of people who, our audience are also people who have, maybe some of these people have not tried out maybe shoppable videos or live commerce enough, right? To have an opinion, what do you get from this, right? So why should they do it? Why should they? So I think just examples of some of those ROIs that you have seen.
Sure.
With brands that comes to your mind right now. Maybe one for live video, like you were talking about the cooking show thing. That's an example. But something that you've seen happen at scale within Lively, right?
So what I'll do is I'll share across maybe an example each of different formats of videos that drive different kinds of solutions, right? So let's take an example of our experience working with Carrot Lane, right? So Carrot Lane again is a very high ASP sort of a brand, right? They sell jewelry products. Jewelry in general is a very, very difficult category to be in because again that
Touch and feel.
trust bit is very, very critical, right? So while Carrot Lane has done like the most amazing job in this sector, I think they've done the best job with respect to solving for that trust bit. And they have so many things where people can actually just have a try on, and they can try at home feature where they can just get the jewelry pieces at home and people can just try it out and shop from there, right? But then one key aspect of it was where Carrot Lane was also selling in the US. right? And actually even in India as a whole, right, where people don't have access to the CaratLane stores. So CaratLane is a proper omni-channel sort of brand, right? They have very strong online ecosystem. They also have a lot of stores around where people can just visit, right? But what they realized was there was still a good chunk of customers who were those online customers who were not placing an order because they needed some more assistance with respect to making the purchase, whether it was solving for the questions that they had, right, or just basically getting that assurance that it was a legit right product that they were ordering, right? So they realized that they needed to solve for this bit for people who were not dropping into their stores, were coming onto your website but still not ordering, right? This is where our live video shopping experience empowers, the CaratLane customers, where they can sit at home across different pages, product pages, home page, different touch points where the customer would land. They also have an option to book an instant video call, right? Not even book, just initiate an instant video call, right? As soon as they initiate an instant video call, it's a one-way video call. Customer's video is switched off. Agent's video will be on. The call gets routed to an available agent. The agent has a lively call management system where they will get to know what product the customer is interested in purchasing. The agent will switch on their camera. They have a beautiful setup. They have a small place where they have a jewelry box and a camera installed within that jewelry box to like zoom in and show the product in detail.
Okay.
Right. And then they have like an agent who's sitting in front of a computer. They are greeting the customer very nicely. They're spending good 20-25 minutes with the customer, understanding their requirements, trying different products out. So they'll first go and put it in the jewelry box and then they'll show the product
sort of more in detail. Sorry to interrupt, but they have to have the product also in the store.
Yes.
And this is typically at a store level that it's mapped to.
Yeah. So they have a good chunk of inventory that is ready.
So it's only available, this feature is only available in those products.
Yes.
Got it.
So that's a good chunk of their overall inventory. Right? So what they've done is they've ordered a lot of samples across in their like a single office, and they've created this video shopping room, right? So they've created the entire setup there. So the agent will answer the call. They will talk to the customer, show the products in detail, show the finish of it, right? And then they will also, if it's like something that can be tried on, they will also wear it and show it how it looks. And they spend those good 20-25 minutes. And there the conversions are extremely high, right? Because like anybody who's helping the customer out, customers also feel that the brand has gone, step forward compared to all the other competitors. And that's why they also feel more connected and the chances of conversion significantly increase, right? So A, you get a competitive advantage, right? B, you shorten the decision-making cycle. So any customer who would have maybe taken some time, good chance that they would have still dropped off, right? You've kind of, what the agent has said is, if you like it, let me also help you with placing an order now, right? So I'll guide you through the process.
So the whole assisted ordering can also happen.
Assistive ordering is also happening there, right? So that's sort of an entire experience that we've built for CaratLane, which has worked really well. Today, video shopping as a whole, they started with 1 or 2 agents. Today they are a team of 20 plus agents doing this, right? So
phenomenal. And I mean, what do you think is the bump up? Let's say, we all know, let's say for an e-commerce site coming into the regular flow, a good conversion rate is, I mean, let's say 3% is like an industry, very good standard. And then, but when people engage to this, to the live video thing, what is the because it's a very high investment time from the customer also, right?
Sure.
So what does the conversion rate go up to? What that you've seen?
So if I have to identify these users who are, so we call them assisted shoppers, right? Online customers who need assistance, these are all assisted shoppers. So typically you'll have about 2.5% of people who would, I mean, again, it would build further, but when you start off, you've seen 2.5% of people would end up being those assisted shoppers that are high intent people, but the conversions are almost 10x, right? So the conversions of these assisted shoppers are almost
25%.
More than, like, it's closer to 40-45%.
Wow.
Right, so almost 1 in 2 people will end up placing an order then.
Got it.
Who would initiate a call, right? So overall, so it's a good, you can actually get a good 8 to 10%, 7-8% of your business coming in through this channel as a whole.
Got it.
Right? And you could do a lot of repeat things. So whenever you have a new collection coming in, you can just, message them saying, there's a new collection coming in, hop onto a video call, let us show it to you.
Got it.
Right? So you could do these sort of things.
Got it.
So that's one example of how videos can be used. Right? Second is a shoppable video experience where you have a lot of videos. So this is a very simple problem statement where I think a lot of brands now I think have that awareness and have bought into, where all of these brands today are very content forward brand, D2C brands as a whole, right? So if I'm creating a lot of content for my social media, I have a website that is a static website, right? There's a good 15-20% of customers who historically with our brands we've seen end up watching at least one video before they make a purchase, right? So if you don't have that information channel as a whole, almost 15-20% of people who prefer an information channel to shop from you, you're not giving them that exposure.
You got it. Right.
The biggest problem that you face as a brand is the website speed gets impacted, right? So this is where our video infra comes into the picture, where we ensure that there is no impact on your website speed. A lot of workflows are gone into building this entire experience, because again, every customer, bringing in a customer is expensive, right? So if you are like not taking care of these things, customers will drop off, right? So this is what typically we ensure, that customers come in, can easily watch videos, stream videos, end up purchasing from there. So another example of how videos can be used.
Got it. One of the areas that we are collaborating on, right, from a Lively and Tenovia partnership, is around the Shopify area, right? So we are, helping brands scale up their Shopify business. Enterprises. And of course, these guys have a lot of content piece already. A lot of that is video, so we're trying to bring in Lively at those points, right? So you mentioned something about the performance of the website piece. So one of the questions I have, and because while it is, you take care of this with your infrastructure, it's not loading of Shopify infrastructure, but how much are you working with ecosystems like Shopify to ensure that, you have practically zero cost from a latency perspective that you're causing? What are you doing around that space?
Sure. So while we have solutions that we've built across platforms, Shopify, Magento, WordPress, etc., but what we've realized is, I think majority of the customers today are Shopify customers as a whole, right? So we have built extremely deeper workflows specifically for Shopify. We have made the entire operational side of things extremely simple. So today, we also have something which is launching this week, where today you don't really need to create or link those videos at all, right? AI will take care of identifying what video, what product, it will directly render onto your website as a whole, right? So
based on your catalog feed.
Based on your, so we read a lot of data from Shopify, read the catalog details there, match it to the video, create a shoppable video, render it onto your website, right? Simple things like these. Also, I think brands that are sort of like fashion brands who run out of inventory fast, keep launching newer set of products, right? So simple, smarter workflows like auto disabling out of stock videos, right? Understanding or getting again, measuring the output is important. So understanding the output from a Shopify's perspective, right? Again, smarter workflow, like automatically optimizing the ranking of those videos. Right? All of these things, I think, get enabled when you work with a Shopify ecosystem, because as a whole, it's a very sort of a stable, smarter ecosystem that is created as an enabler. I think it is way easier to work with Shopify, because they focus a lot in terms of ensuring that enablers have that easy access to things.
Correct.
Right. So I think that as a whole, that's why I think we closely work with Shopify, because I think majority of the business is there, right? So we ensure that Shopify, the entire experience is very, very Shopify friendly.
Got it. So Jash, from I think Lively's now been around, or you've been building Lively for about 2.5 years.
Sure.
You've achieved some scale. Where is it? Where are you right now in terms of, number of stores you enable, number of brands you're working with?
Sure.
Which markets do you operate in currently? So if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I think as a whole, we started by building like an India first solution, because again, you're closer to the market, to understand people, right? Slightly easier to reach out to people, right? So as a whole, that's how we started. I think India has been, the overall response has been phenomenal. There have been so many people who have come out supporting us in different ways, helping us with referrals, helping us with introductions. We've had word with almost some of the biggest brands in the overall Indian ecosystem, right? So as a whole, I think it's been a great journey here. We are already touching about 300 odd brands, right? Who we are currently working with. Majority of those are Indian brands right now. Currently, we started US GTM about a quarter back, 3-4 months back, right? And we realized that I think as a whole, the adoption of live commerce there is extremely high, right, compared to India. So I think we wanted to sort of push the live commerce experience there. We realized that there were quite a few. So initially, we as a US market again, we want to sort of get into a slightly sort of customers who have shorter sales cycles, doing more product-led growths, right? So there we work with a lot of boutique customers as a whole, right? What these boutique customers do is they go live every day or almost once in 2 days.
They have the following for it.
They have the following for it, right? So we've realized that and they make very good amount of engagement and sales going live because they have those set of people who really sort of connect with them, right? And these boutiques they have a specific niche offering, so they have a niche set of audience that they relate with. So we work with these sort of boutique stores as a whole. We are already live. So it's been 4 months now. We are already live with 50 plus boutiques there.
Superb, yeah.
Right? I mean, and US already.
And this is all product-led growth. This is not so much.
So we have done either product-led and partner growth. Like partners have also kind of help us build this, right? So as a whole, within 3 to 4 months, US already contributes to about a third of our business, right?
It's sizable. I mean,
the ticket sizes also there are quite they are actually quite good.
Yeah.
And so that's how we've started. I think as a whole now we want to go very, very aggressive on the US side of the journey, and we'll be going very aggressive on the PLG channel as a whole, and I think partner ecosystem has also yielded good fruits for us. So I think these are the two things that we'll be starting off with.
So you were talking about your GTM in the US. You are so almost 33% of it. I think that's the part you were at, right? So finish that thought.
I mean, as a whole, I mean, the US as a market has a very high adoption to things, right? So
just they're willing to try new things.
They're willing to try new things, and also I think as a whole, live commerce ecosystem is also way more mature than there's a lot of handholding that still needs to be done, right? So I think which we will slowly build, but again, as a whole, our focus will still be a lot on the US side of things when it comes to live commerce, right? So it's going to be majorly PLGs and partner-led ecosystem. Sales-led, I think sales-led growth, I think, should eventually happen when at least one of the founders are there, right? So right now, when we're also scaling in India, we want to do majorly PLG and then eventually.
And all your growth in India has been a lot of PLG, or is it also?
I think what we've
a bit
done
more in sales-led.
Yeah, I think what we've done and our overall experience working with Easy Ecom, right? I think as a whole, sales processes is something that we've learned quite well from Easy Ecom because they've been doing it for a while, right? So
some of the mature processes that they have, you can be able to adopt.
Yeah, we were able to adopt. I think.
And just for those who don't know, Easy Ecom is one of your investors into.
Yes, they are our very early backers and investors.
Got it.
And extremely, thankful for them towards the entire journey that we've had here, right?
Yeah, so, lovely set of people as well. Yeah.
Amazing set of people. So going back, right? So as a whole, I think the thing that we were able to do right was doing sales-led cycles in India. That really helped shape our product. We took a lot of feedback from the customer conversations that we had, and kept shaping the product up. Ideally, if we had just done the PLG side of it, this would have been difficult to shape up, right? So, as a whole, I think you're ready for PLG once you have solved for some bit of PMF, at least signs of PMF. So,
correct. Agreed. And I think when you have that, I think this is where the co-founder piece is also critical, because as you might be focused a bit more on the business growth side, and you want somebody keep tinkering with the feedbacks, right?
That's what. So I think I would like to also sort of ask you this, right? So I think while we've been hearing about Tenovia a lot in terms of how Tenovia is enabling the entire digital transformation story for a lot of enterprise retail brands as a whole, right? So how do you see this journey as a whole in terms of is this something that is like a lot of brands and enterprises have started focusing on, right? And
You're talking about the live video, the shoppable.
no, the overall digital transformation, like
Okay,
a lot of
got
brands
it.
have started focusing from offline to online as well, right?
Yeah.
I think as a whole, we'll also talk about how video part would play an important role here. But I think first I would just want to understand how the digital transformation story, where you're enabling brands towards this journey, right? How is like basically how is the adoption like there?
I think the reality of the numbers is that today you still India is very much a distribution led market, right? So the biggest brands are the ones who crack distribution at the village level, and that's how
Yeah.
the revenues are high, right? Now for all those guys, digital is still maybe 10%, 15%. I mean, let's say even for a mature player, it's like in the 20% territory. Right? So the amount you have to still crack is massive. And that digitization curve, I mean, thanks to even quick commerce, I mean, I think we're all standing in the shoulder of giants, right? Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
mentioned Flipkart,
Of course.
Amazon of the world. I think just uske pehle, what all, I mean, the geos of the world, I think they've enabled that phone in every hand, right? So, and I think with that comes, I think Udan has done a phenomenal job in that the trader ordering online.
India Mart as a fact.
India Mart, right? Like, I mean, even today, like they are the OGs, they're still relevant in that space, massively relevant, right? They are the Alibabas of India in that sense, and a lot of business is enabled there, right? But the last mile of it, in terms of the distributors, the retailers, all those guys becoming digitized, is there's a lot of potential there, right? So what we are trying to solve effectively is, I mean, what we've been doing for a while is also just growing the e-commerce pie within these organizations, right? So within the enterprise, can that 7% be 15%?
Yeah.
Can 15% be close to 30%, and so on? So that's one thing. I think the proof of it, as I mean, today the boardroom is not a naysayer, right? Nobody in the boardroom says that we will not invest enough here, right? So there's more digital advertising today than print advertising, right? So or even TV. I think digital took over TV just this year.
Yeah.
So I think all the ecosystem is right, but the dhanda still is happening in the offline kiranas, right? And so we see what we do as at a meta level as helping the enterprise fasten up or accelerate the digitization. We do it in three ways. So we do it through the performance marketing piece across marketplaces, quick commerce, D2C. So we're helping that. We do it through the Shopify ecosystem, which is B2C and B2B. Right? So we're big on the B2B part. So if we can do more on the retailers, distributor network, I mean, we're pushing a lot on that. And then all of this is unified by the analytics bit. So in the analytics bit, we are connected to 80, 100 ecosystems, right? So all the data comes into that. And we believe if we can show brands how much the correlation between marketing, result sales versus availability, distributor depth, the quick commerce dark stores which are enabled with their stock. I think if we can show that, take that, and then the data is helping the investments follow, I think that's what we're enabling, right? And so we're seeing that convergence with analytics for offline, online both, and that's the place that we're really excited about. So today we're focusing on the Shopify B2B or B2C, the marketplace, quick commerce growth, but that's kind of our vision, right? Where we're going to get to.
I think that sounds really amazing because even while we've had conversations, right, more and more enterprise brands have started putting in those focus in terms of building their online channels further, and everybody wants to have that sort of brand awareness through online, want to have that ease of purchase for their sort of customers. And so as a whole, I think whatever you have said, right, I think as a whole, the entire digitization phase, I think a key part of it will also be played through the overall video as a channel, right? Okay. So if you see static ads don't work anymore, right? Like you try running static ads, there are very few that would ideally work, but mostly people try to run UGC or other video sort of ads, right? Whenever you post a static post on your Instagram, Facebook, versus you posting like a reel, right? There's a significant difference in the sort of reach that you would get across the overall channels, right? So as a whole, I think more and more focus is being put on the video side of communications as a whole. And so any sort of an organization who wants to digitize uh, or run this entire digital transformation story, we'll definitely have to have more and more video adoption as a whole, right? So this is why I think we have been very excited in terms of working with Tenovia, because I think here we are also able to sort of work together towards amplifying the overall output, right? So I think we're already discussing for a couple of clients where a lot of data points we generate across our videos, right? So we exactly get the watch time per user for different sort of videos. We have different action items like you can like a video, share a video, add it to a cart, and more, right? So we exactly get all of these data points. Now we've been discussing with Tenovia team where we can, where Tenovia analytics can actually fetch all of these action items, and based on that you can have actions planned, right? So you can have your retargeting ads, you can have all of the different action items planned around this, because you will also get to know through the videos the user behavior and their interest as a whole. I think this, I mean, we are very very excited in terms of the sort of output that this could potentially drive.
Yeah, I think look, I think I'm sold on the video bit, because somewhere internally, I think last maybe earlier this year, and this is when we were talking about our own marketing, right? Somebody, and we were at that point talking about, okay, let's publish this case study, let's publish that case study, yay, ebook. And somebody asked me, when was the last time you downloaded an ebook?
Yeah.
And I was like stumped. I mean, I spend a lot more time on my YouTube shorts or Insta reels, and I would like, honestly, even a financial statement of a quarter filing of a whatever Zomato or a this thing, I would love to have their CFO just talk in a 20-second key
Actually, that is
and I would just be like, hey, that's enough for me, right?
Our attention spans have been going down like anything.
So which is scary beyond belief, but it's reality, right? Like I have not downloaded or read a ebook for a PDF for a while. So I 100% aligned on the fact that the behaviors have changed. Very excited to work with Lively.
I think one example is also this video podcast.
This is a conversation. This is a result of that same conversation from a few months back, saying, and that at that moment we had a aha moment. Yeah. We just have to switch to our communication completely on videos. Yeah. So here we are. Jash, thank you so much for being on our podcast. Appreciate it.
Lovely chatting with you.
And would love to have you back after a few months when we have more new stories to tell us.
Definitely, I think a lot more case studies and success stories together that we would be building. I think would love to share it with everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.